if they seriously want to vote.
I call the honourable member Eugenie Sage.
E te mangai o te whare tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe.
Mr Speaker, the speech from the last speaker, Mr Ardern, talks about telling the truth. I will tell the truth about what this government is doing with our natural assets as well as our state-owned assets. Just as it's selling off our state-owned energy companies, the government is selling off and trading away our natural assets. And I'm talking to two particular proposals in Te Wāhi Pounamu, the Southwest World Heritage Area. Mr Speaker, that's Riverstone Holdings' proposed monorail and the Milford Dart Tunnel's proposed tunnel between Glenorchy and the Hollyford. And I'm very pleased the Minister of Conservation is here because she recently received some of the concerns of the people of Te Anau that proposal for the tunnel would completely undermine tourism in the area. It would take people away from visiting Te Anau. Mr Speaker, these two proposals are proposed for one of our most distinctive and special natural areas, the wilds of Fiordland, of Snowdon Forest, both part of Te Wāhi Pounamu, the Southwest World Heritage Area. It's one of only 188 areas that are recognised by UNESCO for their outstanding value to all humankind. And Mr Speaker, earlier this year I walked through the Kiwiburn and the Upokuriroa valleys where the monorail is proposed to go. The trees and the forests in those valleys, it's Red Beech Forest, there are some very beautiful trees, some very old trees, potentially hundreds and hundreds of years old. The monorail would create a 200-metre wide, 30-kilometre long scar through the Snowdon Forest. By DOC's own estimates, it would destroy 20,000 trees, would have to be logged and cleared to create the corridor for the monorail. Now, Mr Speaker, Riverstone Holdings is targeting conservation land because, of course, it's much cheaper to socialise its costs by using public conservation land for free or a modest concession rather than buying private land for its proposed monorail. And yet, Mr Speaker, the Department of Conservation is supposed to be managing these areas for the preservation and protection of the natural resources that are there. That's the habitat of threatened species like kaka, kakariki, the long-tailed bat, and yet Riverstone Holdings proposes putting people in these sealed tin cans to send them swishing through the landscape. How will that increase their appreciation of what a New Zealand forest is like? How will that, in cutting the journey between Queenstown and Te Anau, missing out that beautiful section around the lake where the road is in the shadow of the Remarkables, you're looking out across Lake Wakatipu, how will that increase their appreciation of New Zealand? It goes through an area that at the moment is perfect for families and novice trampers because it's close to the Mavora Lakes, and sensible tourism operators, people that the Green Party supports in establishing the Save Fiordland Society. Sensible tourism operators see that the future of that industry is based on getting people into the outdoors, encouraging them to see what nature is really like, not just speeding through the landscape in a sealed tin can. Those operators are part of Save Fiordland Society. Those people are banding together to mobilise public opinion against these two very destructive, high-impact proposals. And, Mr Speaker, we haven't had a good record from this minister. She presided over the freeholding of part of what was to be part of Craigieburn Forest Park, allowed it to be traded and sold off to the Port of Skeria development. Mr Speaker, Mr Michael Slee, who was the Director of Development for the Port of Skeria proposal, is also involved in the monorail proposal. Once they got their concessions from the minister, what happened? Blackfish Development, involved in putting forward Port of Skeria, was on-sold to 4 Russian multimillionaires. Given the large amount of capital that's required both for the tunnel and the monorail, what would we see here? We'd see here overseas corporates that might benefit from the jobs and the consultancy contracts involved in constructing the monorail and the tunnel, but these would be overseas-owned companies destroying New Zealand nature in return for their dividends going offshore. So, Mr Speaker, These proposals, people are mobilising to stop them, to protect the outstanding values of the South West World Heritage Area, because they recognise that this is conservation land. It should be protected for present and future generations. Thank you.
I call the honourable member